Hello and welcome. I am Cyril Stober. The coronavirus pandemic has brought into sharp focus the state of health facilities in the country. Beyond that, it has awakened awareness of individual health status, personal hygiene, and general wellness, but perhaps at no other time than now has more thought been given to immunity issues. And now more than ever, the need to look inwards for solutions to the numerous health challenges the nation faces. What place for local proven remedies, local manufacture of drugs and medical equipment, alternative medicine, and the herbal alternative? My guest today is Hajia Zainab Ujudud Shariff, Director, Head of Department of Traditional, Complementary and Alternative Medicine, Federal Ministry of Health. Thanks for joining us on One-on-One.
Thank you for having me, Cyril.
Right, let me just mention here, and our guest has done so many things. She is a fellow of the Pharmaceutical Society of Nigeria. She is an accomplished pharmacist of repute with more than 30 years in the field. Okay? She's been chairman of the PSN, that's the Pharmaceutical Society of Nigeria Abuja branch, from 2007 to 2010. She was National Chairman, Association of Lady Pharmacists of Nigeria, from 2013 to 2018. And she's had numerous international trainings in so many parts of the world. I just mentioned a few. She had international training in Chinese medicine. That's at the University of Tianjin in China. And she's done so much more. She's also written a number of books, and some of them are out there, while there's still work on some other books she's written. One of the books she's working on at the moment is Encyclopedia of Medicinal Plants, and that will be with focus on healing recipes, common medicinal plants of Nigeria, medicinal plants, first aid kit, and of course understanding aromatherapy. So my guest is well-rounded in so many fields, but today here we are, and we're looking at one of the biggest challenges the world has ever faced in terms of health. That's the coronavirus, the novel coronavirus, which we now know as COVID-19. And so many things have been said about this pandemic. Still, there's no cure or vaccine, and many people have thought about alternative means.
Thank you.
Looking at alternative means, and you have vast knowledge in alternative medicine. Let's start from the premise of defining what traditional and alternative medicine is.
Thank you, Cyril. And let me start by saying nature has provided for us medicine, and the medicine given by nature has been there as long as the existence of mankind himself. That means mankind equals to natural medicine, because God knew that one way or the other there is going to be a disharmony in our system, and there he provided us with certain things. That brings me to the idea of what is natural medicine. Natural medicine could be medicine derived from nature. Let's look at the most common aspects, sources of nature. You know, medicine is derived from air. We are all sitting down here breathing in and out. We are breathing in oxygen. That is natural medicine given to us by God. Another source of natural medicine is water. Even with the pandemic, wash your hands, whatever you want to do with your hands, that is what we call the natural medicine source from water. And then, of course, there is natural medicine source from animal. That is why you see the animals are used to either be used in laboratory to be able to get medicines. So you see, God has given us that as a source of natural medicine. He has also given us the earth. There are aspect of what we called, when you come, there is an aspect of earth medicine. It's specifically designed and is mostly practiced in Egypt. And then, of course, the most common one which man has used is medicinal plants, or let me call it plants. Then we call it plants medicine, or we call it ecological medicine, just to mention few. And then that means plant has been there. And at times, for understanding of our viewers, knowing that even God, when he created you, as a Christian you have a Bible, as a Muslim you have the Quran. I was told, and I did my research, about 40 medicinal plants are mentioned in the Bible. Do you think of Ezekiel 47 verse 12? What did he say? He said the fruit is for man's food, but the herb is for his healing. And Genesis chapter 1 verses 22, he said he has caused the plant to grow for you to use it. Just to mention a few, I told you 40 plants. And we talk about olive plants, olive oil. All these are medicinal plants that were mentioned much more in the Bible. Come to the Quranic aspect. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, for every ailment that there is a cure, but man must seek for the cure. He said, in it is a colored fluid full of many medicinal plants for healing. Do you know what is that colored fluid is? It is honey. He talked about the black seed. He said the black seed is a very good medicine. It is a remedy for all diseases except death. So you look at it even from the religious angle. Medicine have been mentioned. Plants have been mentioned. Holistic plants have been mentioned. Then let's look at it briefly, historically. You are now telling me to talk about traditional and then complementary medicine. History has it. There were a lot of use. For those of us that are called ourselves today orthodox practitioners, the history started with what we believe in, the father of modern medicine, which we called Hippocratic. Hippocrates, what was he doing? He will look at you. He will say, Cyril, you need the sun. Go out to the sun to get some vitamin D. He was using the principles of dampness, hot, cold, to treat ailments. So based on that, he was able to have 400 medicinal plants in his own library. Do you talk of the greatest Chinese emperor, who is called Shenyong? He had 380 plants to his collection. That is the foundation of modern medicine today, just to mention a few. And for us in Nigeria and Africa, how did we get it? Historically, either explicable or not explicable, through science, designs, handed on from generation to generation, because our people could not document.
Right.
But those science were transmitted. And that is why the basis of our traditional medicine. Traditional medicine is your indigenous medicine. Medicine of the people, medicine of the community, the medicine given to mankind in his own territory. And that medicine is part of him, is part of his culture. That is the basis of traditional medicine. I want to believe that the early existence of creatures of mankind were given the power of intuition by God to be able to use and have the healing capacities. And then what you need to know is that the traditional medicine in a nation, once my traditional medicine in Nigeria goes to Niger, it becomes alternative medicine. So you can see historically, traditional medicine, alternative medicine. What is orthodox medicine? What is the game about orthodox medicine? Orthodox medicine could not have existed without these prehistory components of traditional medicine. History has it that the greatest scientists, for example, we had a scientist, Saturna, in 1802. What did he use? He took the opium, the poppy opium, and went into the lab based on the information, and he was able to extract morphine. We have the willow bark. The willow bark is a plant. Then the scientists extracted salicin, and that salicin is further processed chemically, either through artificial chemical synthesis to give what you call acetyl salicylic acid, which we call aspirin today. So what is it? Orthodox had intricate and highly potent chemical procedures to produce these orthodox drugs. Hence, very important, the need for why clinical trials are carried on, and the need for why they must be dosed, and the need for why they are used as curative, not preventive. But natural remedies are better used as both preventive and curative. You have a headache now, are you going to take Panadol? You take Panadol when you have a headache. But when you anticipate you are going to have a headache, you cannot take Panadol, but you can take a tea of what I called basil leaf.
All right, so all these things are out there.
Yeah.
Man has developed, and science has developed a lot as well. Some of them have been derived from these plants that you've mentioned, some of the curative medicines you've talked about. But here we are today, the world faces a pandemic.
Yeah.
And there still is no cure and no vaccine. And some have said, look, there could be some remedy lurking somewhere in, some traditional plants, but it's not possible to bring them to the fore because of certain procedures. Now, this has always been the problem between what we call orthodox medicine and the traditional medicine, and there has rarely been any point of convergence.
Yeah.
Why is this so?
You see, I always say, why did God put me in between? I'm a trained pharmacist, and I'm also an expert herbal medicinal expert. I'm also a traditional medicine given to me through intuition by God. So I'm in the middle. That means I am in the best position to say about the two. If you are strictly orthodox, you cannot talk about traditional medicine or herbal medicine. If you want to talk about traditional herbal medicine, orthodox, go and read about that. If you are strictly traditional medicine, you need to understand orthodox. So I thank God for me being in between. I think I'm able to give a diverse opinions. That brings me to understanding the sources of medicines, the sources of pharmaceutical drugs, like you have mentioned. For us now, there are three main sources of pharmaceutical medicine, because it's going to lead me to why there is no cure. The three main sources of pharmaceutical medicine today is, of course, the agro-allied pharmaceuticals, like we have said, the plants, okay? And then we look at the one of the chemical synthesis, going into the lab, looking at the structures, stealing from the natural sources, getting the structure of the natural sources, synthesizing it artificially. That means working in the lab to get that synthesis. And then the third one is the petrochemical we are talking about, which in this country today in Africa, we still have a long way to talk about petrochemical. We still have a long way to talk about chemical synthesis, because research is not supported. But our greatest low-hanging fruit is the agro-allied pharmaceutical, over the 8,000 plants of Nigeria that we have. So that brings me to say the differences in understanding plant to pills or plant to orthodox is a pathway. The pathway of a plant to orthodox, along the line you can have herbal medicine, which is either in a crude form but labeled and packaged, okay? Labeled and packaged, containing aerial parts of plants, or it can contain the barks, the roots, packaged together, blended together to give medicinal part. What is there about that? The multi-chemical millions of components are intact, okay? And that is herbal medicine. But when you want to go into some processes, some chemical processes, you are now trying to retain or disorganize the structure of the holistic component. Now, we want to look for a particular active principles, okay? We want to get that active principle from that holistic plant. That active principle cannot be gotten like that until you carry out various chemical processes. And these chemical processes involve the use of chemical substances, highly toxic, but what we are looking for, and equipment to be able to get that isolated principle. And then from that isolated principle, you are getting a striker, specific. And that is why clinical trials needs to be carried on. And that is why the trials are done on different animals to get that thing. So hence, that is where the knowledge of understanding the differences. The herbal or medicine or natural medicine wants it holistically, with its own intact properties.
And you don't,
but the
you
orthodox, and that is preventive,
trials.
And you don't need much clinical trials.
Right. Okay.
But we are going orthodox. We need strict clinical trials because of the procedures involved.
Now just quickly, let's try to define if there's a difference here. And that's where most people get confused. Traditional medicine. Yeah. When you mention it, the first thought, the image that comes to mind is that of a witch doctor. Yes. With feathers and stock in his head and all kinds of things, and some, grotesque figures and chanting so many things, incantations, and so that tends to put people off.
Away off.
Could this be because of our historical background? Because in times past, the herbalists and the witch doctor were concentrated in one individual. The same man who's the witch doctor would, talk to plants, and then there are certain other issues where those who have knowledge of the efficacy of plants tend not to want to release such knowledge, or sometimes certain practices.
Yeah.
You cannot take this mixture unless you have recited some incantations. You cannot reap this plant unless at 2 o'clock in the morning,
yes.
unless you do this or you do that or you walk backwards, so
okay.
Stuff like that.
Cyril, let me just, from the last statement you made, that was the science of the traditional medicine. That was their own thinking. Maybe you need to take it when there is more active ingredient. So they will say, get it up in the night or in the day. For us, science needed to interpret those procedures. Scientists needed to understand. You said that the moment you see a traditional medicine practitioner here, because of his way of dressing, you know, of course there has to be drama. How can he give you attention? How can he give that attraction if he does not dramatize? For me, having been in this field, trying to understand them, and even the power of incantation, I understand basically some are dramas. It depends on how you look at it. They said medicine come in 3 forms. Either naturally, from the plants we are saying, or synthetically, from the ones we have synthesized, and even spiritually, or a combination of both. So in some, there is an element of spiritualism. That is why at times, the pastor will give you the holy oil. What has been done to the oil? Prayers and incantations. Is it wrong or right? Is it because the practitioner is saying his own incantations? Curiosity made me to understand that when they talk about their plants and their incantations, they are talking about what we call psychotherapy. Okay. Trying to talk about the active ingredients in their plants. Let me give you an example. They will tell you that this plant, Bobo Nishe, this is a drug that heals everything. I try to understand. Call them. You say it heals this? Yes, it will do this, it will do this. My science interpretation of Bobo Nishe is that it's an immune booster.
Okay.
Something that has ability to reduce, prevent infection. So that means it's an immune booster. They look at it as holistic. That is why modern scientists need to study these processes that traditional medicine do it, so that we can interpret it. Another example, your granny, nobody on earth, or maybe in Africa, has not done that power of steaming. Okay? Grandparents, your grandmother, like I always say, the mother is the first natural healer. Will go behind the backyard, pluck those leaves, come and boil it in the, call you, Cyril, come and do that steaming. Use the blanket. And the moment you do that steaming, you know what happens to you. People wonder. They go out, they urinate better, and they go out, they feel better. That was their own that was their own remedy. But what is the science? To me now, the science in that process is a process called diaphoterism. That is the use of those plants, essential oils that comes out from them to detoxify and tone the organs. Those plants that were used in boiling are called tonic herbs. What do? You know that steaming dilates the blood vessels of the skin. We call it peripheral dilatation. So when the blood vessels is dilated, the blood is toned, and then the organs, the liver, the kidney, the GIT are toned and activated. What do? Always remember that the body has its ability to heal itself. Right. But for it to have that ability to heal itself, you must give it a good care. So your granny toned those organs, made them reactivate them. And when they are strong, they look at the foreigner. And if the foreigner is possibly a malaria parasite, it naturally goes away. So that process, what could we do with it? We can make it better. I could package those plants, package it as powder, package it as herbs, and then give basic instructions. In your modern bathroom, you could do that process. And that is what they have gone further to call the essential oils. That brings me to the study of aromatherapy. when all those plants that we have mentioned bring out their oils, those oils are now synthesized chemically to get the essential oils, which you use in baths, essential oil baths, or that salt baths, to tone the organs, to promote relaxation. As we go along, we are going to talk about stress, we are going to talk about fear in this corona pandemic and how we need to manage it through aromatherapy.
All right. One of the greatest challenges has to do with dosage and what
Yes.
amount to take in these medicines. You could say you take paracetamol, you know, depending on... but with the traditional medicines, most of the time you just don't drink freely as much as possible.
This story, this saying has been on for 30 years. Everybody still say, you want to tell me there has been no advancement? I am here as a practitioner to tell you there is a dosage in everything we do.
All right.
The dosage depends on the preparation. I gave you the history of synthetic medicine, the chemical synthesis, the artificial synthesis, the use of chemicals, the need for dosage so that you don't have chemical poison. Of course, everything must be dosed, even water. If it is not dosed, there is a quantity that you need to take. If you take more than it, you feel uncomfortable. There has been dosage for powdered herbs. There have been dosages for what we call phytomedicine. You go out there, you buy nutraceuticals in the chemical shops. You go out there, you buy what we call nutritional supplements. Those are sources from traditional and herbal medicine. Are they not those? Enough of that story of 30 years. Every day, you people keep on saying there is no dose, there is no standard. Meanwhile, you are going out to buy the extracts. You are going out to buy the phytomedicine. You are going out to buy the nutritional supplements. Are they not those?
All right. Well, in a pandemic such as the coronavirus, which we have now,
Yeah.
all efforts are on race against time to find a cure or a vaccine, as they say. But many people still think that there is something to look at in alternative traditional medicines, and some countries have gone ahead to marry what they've been able to do locally to provide some form of remedy. In a situation where there is no specific standard cure, many countries are using what they have.
Because they believe in God.
All right.
If you believe where you existed, I'm sure God put you in Nigeria for a purpose. I'm in Nigeria. God gives everything in Nigeria. That's why I always give the history. When man was created, before his creation, Garden of Eden was there. Do you know why the Garden of Eden was there? For him to eat the fruits, for him to be alive, for him to eat healthy foods. So if we say there is nothing for the management of COVID-19, then we don't believe in God. There must be something that God has provided that you can use to manage. While you are looking for the specific cure, look, which I have told you in the history of modern medicine, going to look for that particular active ingredients that you need to hit the rock, that you need to hit the COVID virus. But along the line, what can you do? That brings us to the aspect of the traditional or complementary medicine.
Right.
Where are the plants? In the history of plants, plants are used as foods. Foods are first medicine. So, the first treatment in this management of any pandemic, like I said, health is a complete state, physical, mental, social, spiritual well-being. Not always there has to be a disease. Food is a medicine. We can focus on nutritional foods, and these nutritional foods, basically, you know, the proteins, the carbohydrates, what the fats and the oils. What I would advise is that clear off processed foods. Processed food do not help in providing the great nutrients. Let's go to wholesome foods. Wholesome foods that will provide the vitamins A, the vitamin Bs, especially in the management of stress, and then the vitamin Cs to boost the immune systems, and the phytochemicals that you need, and the antioxidants that you need. These foods are there. Let's give ourselves some example of foods that nature has given to us. The soya beans, excellent nourishing food. The millet, the corns that we have, but do not remove the bark or do not remove the shaft. Take them holistically, because in those things are medicines. So like I told you, the foods are medicines. They are the first medicine. So that means you at least have a remedy in the management of this COVID. Don't want to scare people out there. We are increasing their fear. We are increasing their tension. No cure. Yes, there is no specific cure, but there is something to manage and there is something to treat. Well, like I have said in the aspect of foods. And I want to go in to talk about foods and herbal medicinal plants that are used as medicine, that are specifically known because of their richness. Let's give our viewers some example. The Moringa oleifera that God has given us, the great desert resistant plant, the plant that doesn't need any water to grow because of its capacity and its natural endowments, is blessed with a lot of nutraceuticals or a lot of phytochemicals. We have them. So eat more of them as salad and take them as tea and blend them as juices. Apart from that, it also boosts the immune system. We call it one of the great deep immune modulators. Then do we look at garlic? The kitchen remedies. Hey, Cyril, those spices in the kitchen. Research and science has shown that a lot of those spices, the anise seeds, the fennel, the carry-away seeds, even myrrh, okay, the ginger, the cayenne you have, are all plants that have the ability to boost the immune system.
All right.
And we take them, for example, more of those pepper soups. The pepper soups, because of the contents. My friend told me, I would not mention her name. She said, I was in Canada during this COVID period. Maybe I got coronavirus, I didn't know. What happened to me there was that I went to take care of my daughter. So I took a lot of these Nigerian spices along. I was doing a lot of pepper soup, taking it. I would have thought now, I believe that those spices I was taking in pepper soup supported my immunity.
All right.
And I came back without having COVID. So God has blessed Africa with those rich spices. We have them. If you ignore what God has given to you, you will never develop.
Speaking of the immune system, it has been said that many of the fatalities, at least initially that we're seeing from COVID-19, was a result of people having other underlying challenges.
Yeah, what we call comorbidities.
Okay, comorbidities, and then those who had compromised immune systems.
Yes.
And so quite a lot of people now are aware and are beginning to say, well, how do I improve
my immunity?
My immunity?
Thank you very much, Cyril. Let all of us focus on strengthening our immunity while the science of all this world is looking for a cure. Because God always has a solution. I don't believe there is no solution. And those scientists, they are human beings like you, created by God. We all look unto the omnipotent, the omniscience, to give us sense of direction. For us, what food, like you have said, to boost the immunity? I was not surprised when in the north, you see a lot of the Almajiris are reading positive. Yes, suffering from kwashiorkor. Most of them do not have good immune systems. There is nothing they have to be positive because the immunity is compromised. We need to strengthen the immunity, and there are various processes to strengthening the immunity. I've mentioned detoxification. If your system is filled with acidity, if you cannot digest your food very well, if you cannot defecate, oh no, you have easy opportunities for your immunity to low. We must have free-flowing digestive system. We must be able to defecate. I've given you an example of a detoxification system of the aromatherapy, of the aromatherapy and the diaphoterism. Time to purge me out. What do we have locally as purges? We can make sure your system is relaxed, because if your system is filled up, blood cannot flow very well. The nutrients cannot flow very well. The blood in the system is guttered. It's like a gutter. Once you cleanse the gutter, the water flows very well. So detoxification of the body system, quickly, 5 main organs of detoxification. The digestive system, is an organ of the digestive system. One of the good foods that the digestive system loves is bitters. Bitters have the ability to tone the digestive system, to improve digestion, and to reduce toxicity and acidity. Most of us are filled with acidity. Belching is difficult. There is bloating because your body is acidic. Bitters that we know, few examples of what God has given to bitter leaf. Give a formula for bitter leaf. 5 leaves of bitter leaf, 5 leaves of bitter leaf, 2 medium-sized carrot, 2 medium-sized carrot, half medium-sized cucumber, which I call the cooling plant. Okay, a piece of ginger. Okay, a quarter-sized lemon. Okay, wash cleanly these food ingredients that are filled with phytochemicals and phytonutrients. Blend with a glass of water. Sieve to get a freshly prepared juice, which we call live juice. Take the juice 2 times daily, at least 3 times in a week, providing antioxidants, detoxifying the system, and stimulating the immune system. That is an example, like I said, for the digestive system. And quick laxative. The senna leaf is found in most pharmacy shops. Senna leaves will bow down the lower part of the digestive column, open what we call defecation, so that we can remove some of those debris. Quick one, another detoxifying organ, the almighty kidneys. The kidneys needs what we call the diuretic plants. The diuretic plants are flushers. What are those diuretic plants that God has given to us? The ginger, the hibiscus sabdirifa, which we call the zobo, containing nutrients. You easily diurize. It is what. And those kidney plants are called, like I have mentioned, moringa is a kidney plant. The kidney beans is a kidney plant. The diuretics, the zobo, the ginger, the garden egg leaf, which is common in the southeast. I think they call it angara. It's a diuretic plant. Just to mention some of these diuretic plants, which we can use to flush the system. The kidney, a quick one, the liver. The liver is blessed with what we call the hepatic herbs. The hepatic herbs are herbs that feed the liver. Preventive. What do you do to take care of your liver? The hepatic herbs out there. What are you doing with your beetroots? It's a hepatic liver. Some of those spices are mentioned, like the garden egg, which we take every day, the pawpaw, which we take on the watermelon, the back of the watermelon. All these are needed. They are both kidney plants and also liver plants. A quick one for the liver. Beetroot, 1 medium-sized beetroot. Okay? A bunch, about 5 leaves of celery, which is out there. 3 leaves of parsley. Okay? And a quarter-sized lemon. A piece of ginger. You often wonder why we add ginger. Yeah. Ginger is a catalyst for these plants. It opened the ways for these nutrients to go and carry out the activity. This is not taught in the orthodox medicine.
Right.
But in the natural medicine, in the understanding of plant medicine, in the understanding of the chemical actions of plants, depending on their constituents, this is where the knowledge is.
Okay, so lots of people will say to you, Nigeria is blessed with all these things you've mentioned.
Over 8,000 species.
And then they're wondering, why has the country not gone ahead to develop all these to a state where it can fall back on them when you have a crisis like this? I give you an example. It's been celebrated all over the world that Madagascar came up with some herbal mixture. But from what we have read, one of the key ingredients in that mixture is artemisia, which again is known to grow in this country. And I know you have been involved in some work with artemisia. So could you tell us about that?
Yeah, you know, you forgot to mention that I was the ex-managing director of Nigerian medicinal plants.
Yes, that's
2008 to 2014.
So
what was the history?
What
the history was to domesticate Artemisia annua. President Obasanjo in 2007 saw the need to produce a raw material for malaria, because we know Africans, we are bedeviled with malaria. And that was when the abolishment of chloroquine. Then the ACTs came in, the artemisinin combination therapy. And you know, initially it was so costly. So Obasanjo got the seeds from China. Can it grow in Nigeria so that we can have that medicinal plant called Artemisia annua? Let me divert a bit. Great Madagascar. You know why I like what Madagascar has done? One of the greatest export potentials of Madagascar is medicinal plants.
All right.
The Cataratus rosea, or the plant that is used in the management of leukemia, vincristine and vinblastine, that plant is sourced from Madagascar.
All right.
So they knew their potentials lies in medicinal plants.
Okay.
The moment there was this COVID, they looked at their resource.
All right.
And that was the political will. We had to cultivate, and we domesticated Artemisia annua in Nigeria.
Right.
In all the regions, for 2 years, we did a trial. What was the trial? That plant, could it grow in Nigeria? Can Artemisia annua be domesticated in Nigeria? Can we get the component which we want, the artemisinin, in a commercial quantity?
Right.
Because you need to get good artemisinin to go to chemical synthesis to get the artemisinin combination therapy.
Right.
What was the outcome after 2 years? Growth was done in every region of this country, but more specifically with high content of artemisinin in the northern region. Hey, the plant grew well in Taraba.
Okay.
We couldn't even control the growth. When the Chinese came, who told us that our plants cannot grow in Nigeria, they were shocked. Not only that, for confirmation of the artemisinin content, we took a sample of the artemisia to a French laboratory in France to understudy the content of artemisinin, and we took a sample to NIPRID to look at the content of artemisia, to see the content of artemisinin. Is it viable? What was the result? The result from NIPRID clearly shows that Artemisia annua in Nigeria is viable.
Okay.
The minimum content we needed of artemisinin was 0.4%. We got about 0.62% from NIPRID. The result from France, the content of artemisinin was 1.2%.
So why didn't we go further than that? What happened?
Political will destroyed the project. Maybe this is the time to reinvigorate,
so we
renew,
could easily have said
and
that
bring
we
back
have
the
artemisia, of course, and so we can go ahead and do many things with
it's an
this.
biannual plant. It can grow twice in a year. We had it even during the rainy season, dry season.
Right, we went
it
as far
was
as
cultivated massively in
Nigeria went as far as
Kano.
having a company that was supposed to harness the potential of this plant and move forward.
Yes.
So I do assume that the blueprint and all the groundwork is still there.
A book. We came up with a book. Sorry, I did not bring the book. I didn't know this would be the time, but it's always good to have a history. We have a book called The Domestication of Artemisia annua in Nigeria. The story should be told.
So in these periods, have you thought about putting forward this to the authorities now?
You know, I belong to the government.
All right. So
I am a director in the Federal Ministry of Health.
So that should be.
But I have my limit to my powers. For me to be blunt, I want to be very forthcoming, and I want to say it from the deep part of my heart.
Yes, but being part of the ministry,
I feel pained when
could easily,
these things are
present.
not recognized.
Yes, but
thank you for inviting me. Maybe
they
will recognize and invite me. Then I will tell the story.
All right.
I need to be recognized. I need to be invited to tell the story.
You see, I'm saying this because just recently the Minister of Health was reported to have said anyone who has any form of traditional remedy for COVID-19 should submit same to
the
NAFDAC,
department, to my department,
and even
NAFDAC
to your department.
Yes.
So
with that
if your department has knowledge of what
it's a process
of so many things that can be a process that can be set in motion. So it does make it easier, doesn't it?
I hope we can make it faster.
All right.
There is no time. But what is important in my department is that all those claimants, you know, people claim I have cure for COVID-19, I have vaccine. It's not easy to say you have a cure. We all know, you all know, there's a process. But however, bring your submission to the Federal Ministry of Health, or if you like, to NAFDAC. But NAFDAC is looking at a product. But we can look at your submission. Bring in a paper to say that you have a product. So in my department, what we try to do, based on your letter which you have submitted to the minister and the minister has minuted to me, I look at your submission and then I have a template that analyzes what information I need from you. And then from that information, I now direct accordingly. Okay. I direct that this remedy should be quickly addressed to NAFDAC. And then the other ones can be addressed to NIPRI.
Seeing that we have a ravaging pandemic on hand now, is it possible to speed up the process for all this? Sure. Because some people might say they might be worried about the bureaucracy of ministry and all that, and departments and agencies of government. But it's like an emergency you have now.
Honestly, I must commend the DG NAFDAC. 2 days ago, we had a virtual meeting. She called all of us that are experts. And her main topic was getting remedies for COVID-19 to fast-track the process. Right. So I am glad she's working on that. And some of the submissions are with them. But what is important, we must confirm toxicity and safety. All right. We do not say, like the House has said, when you are looking to look at your eyelid, then you lose your eyes. So we don't want, because somebody say has a cure, you concoct it to an individual and the person dies. But we need to do some basic tests, and that is what NAFDAC is doing, trying to get the safety. Once a remedy is safe and you look at the composition of safety, I think it's good to go. This is the time for us to take that bold decision. This is the time for us, for the Presidential Task Force, to take that bold decision. Call the experts. Tell us, this remedy is there. Let us give it a trial. A professor, Professor Ujudud, has said that there should be an isolation center for remedies of herbal origin so that the patients can try it secretly. They are trying herbal remedies.
I like that, secretly. Well, again, it now brings to fore the question about manufacturing medicines. Yeah. COVID-19 has shown that
very sad.
You have to have local, capacity and content in what you do. The bigger countries, I mean, big in terms of their health status and facilities, they have been brought to their knees, and they cannot look to countries like Nigeria for now. Each country is bogged down by its own, its own challenges. Yes. So isn't it time now to begin to think of manufacturing, for instance, basic drugs, basic medical equipment? Now Nigerians are forced to now make homemade masks.
Great one.
Okay. All right? Yes. So what about other things? I'm beginning to see Nigerians who are creative coming out with, because the same things that you want to use to manage your issues are the same things the rest of the world are chasing out there, and no one's going to let you have it on a platter of gold.
Let me, I like the statement. I realize Nigerians is when they are struck or when they are activated, then there is that energy to move out. But if not, we lay low and rely on foreign importation. Let me just give an example. Cyril, if the president did not put his foot down in the issue of rice, what would have happened today? That is kudos to the federal government and the President Muhammad Buhari, retired general, for taking that step on the rice, stopping the importation of rice. Now you see all these foods that are given, it's mostly rice. That means any other giant step that we take can also help. In terms of medicine, that brings me to what we call medicine security. We do not have any raw material that we use to even produce the common drug you take, paracetamol. The active ingredient of paracetamol is acetaminophen. That small active ingredient, you don't produce it in Nigeria. That is why I told you that there are three main sources of producing drugs: the chemical in the lab, the petrochemical, and the agro-allied. Where is our low-hanging fruits? Can we look at the agro-allied even to get things like starch, and even to get things like phytomedicine, like the Madagascar has done it knew that its strength is in medicinal plants. So we pray that now it is time for us to look inwards. What do we need to do? We have experts dying to come in. We need to identify experts. There should be no politics in getting the right experts. There should be no tribalism in getting the right experts. There should be no sympathy in getting the right experts. There should be no financial gains, personal financial gains. I must get it. Oh my God, this is what kills the project called Nigeria. The moment you have something, people begin to look what is in it for me. It's very sad. This is what kills our country. Let us get the thing first. Then what is it in you for you will come naturally. We have scientists, we have Professor Olujaba of this world, we have Professor McDonald Idu of this world, we have Professor Kenneth of this world, who can sit together and make play with plans to give us of medicines which are low-hanging fruits. Science and technology. Nasina has done a lot. Raw material has done a lot. Are you aware they have been able to produce face masks? They have been able to produce PPEs, personal protective equipment for doctors. That means if we pay attention and we spend more funds in getting development and getting research to come out with products, it will be good for us. We always want quick win. Let us take the pathway and be patient. I plead and that the government, we should now more focus on research. Right. Special funds should be allocated, but research with a question mark. Do not do the research of 20 years that has no answer. We want research that are product oriented. A research that is called an applied research. Cyril, we do not need to invent the wheel. Indians have packaged it, Chinese have packaged it. Go on and do the copycat. Everybody on earth is doing copycat. Even Donald Trump is copycatting. So we are qualified to copycat. What do? Get those answers. I was trying to work on a plant. I am trying to, in our department, I can boldly say it, we have come up with a formulation called Cove Herbal Cough Mixture. That formulation I wanted because we in our department are experts. I was trained in Chinese traditional medicine. I was trained in Ayurveda medicine on how to produce these medications. Why can I not do it? Don't you think I owe this country that knowledge that I was sponsored to do to be able to come out with a product? That formulation is in the process. We do not say we have a cure, but we have things that can manage symptoms. And the process of that formulation, it needs to take the due process, but it's fast-tracked. The due process to ensure safety, to allow NAFDAC to do the needful. And maybe we'll come up with one of the first formulation that could be used. And there are many other formulations too. We are pushing it. But you know, I always look at a child that has a mother near the cooking pot should not feel hungry. If the Ministry of Health has the Department of Traditional and Alternative Medicine with experts like us, 30 years, I produce herbs, I sleep herbs, I dream herbs, I know herbs. If I don't produce, is my Turenchi not useless?
Okay. Well, we've talked about what the state can do, what departments, agencies can do.
Yeah.
Let's look at what the individual, as we round off now, what the individual can do to stay healthy and be well, especially in the face of COVID-19.
Thank you very much. I like that question because that brings me to what I call home remedies. Yeah? As a family, in the homes, as individuals, the mother, this is your responsibility. All mothers, I'm giving you this as responsibility of using home remedies to manage your family. What are the basic home remedies? You can do the diaphoterism, the guava, the limbs, the neem tree is all over, which is believed to be one of the ingredients that can also manage some symptoms of COVID-19, which also has anti-malaria properties. Okay? The bitter leaf. So we can get that diaphoterism. You can do the steaming and you can add some essential oils for your family. Okay? Do that steaming. Do it. It can be even face steaming for 10 minutes, which is okay. You know why the steaming? It clears the nose. it clears the throat, and the herbs that are in it have antiviral and antimicrobial properties. And some of them, we call them, they have expectorant, mucolytic. If there are mucus, they can and they boost the immune system. So that is a home remedy. And then another home remedy is the production of life juices. Okay, we have juices around, but beautiful fruits and vegetables. Take the pawpaw, take the cucumber, take the beetroots. I've mentioned the juices you can make for your family. More of, remove those fast foods. No more going to those fast foods. Go for healthy foods. Soya beans can be used to make soya milk, and you can use it to make soya curdle, which we call wara. You know, wara is all available. You eat it for children. Make the curdle, put honey. Better than the cake. You have soya bean curdle that is made into slices like cake. You put pure honey, they come to take. In addition, you know, when they say don't use lemon, yeah, you must use lemon. That is what God has given to you. There is lemon. If you take a glass of warm lemon, you get just to clean and detoxify. These are plants. Is it because you have them every day? Is it because you see them every day? You don't appreciate them? What Almighty God has given you that is common to you is the best for you. What you are looking for in Sokoto is in your Sokoto. So these are some of the things I said. I've talked about the life juice, hot liquids. Take more of hot teas. Moringa tea, you can take. Bitter leaf tea, you can take. Onion, garlic, onion, alum sepa. The grannies used to take size onion, cut it into two, put it in the corners of their houses. Why? Because onion has the ability to absorb germs. So when they do for 12 hours, they put those onions in the corners. Then after 12 hours, they burn the onions. They believe that all the germs have been. So this is something you can do at home. You can make a lemon, add garlic, and then blend the juice, add honey, so that your children can eat. Boost their immunity. Do that, boost their immunity. And then a lot of millet combined with soya beans, you can make gruel, you can make camu, like we said, and then add some touch of honey or brown sugar to boost your immunity. For us, people who are outside, you go there, almost make sure in your office you have water. You can take your moringa tea. I don't want to call green tea because some of you get the imported green tea. You don't know that your moringa green tea is better than the imported green tea. So you can have anise. Anise is readily available. Fenugreek is readily available. Cinnamon is there. The doom fruit. You know the doom fruit is a fruit that is hard, but outside it is full of nourishments. It's called goruba in Hausa. Scientists have discovered the richness of goruba. It is cheaper and available. The doom fruit contains nutrients. The powder is now used in making tea. You can take it as tea. You can mix it with the almighty kuka fruit. The pulp of the kuka, which is whitish in color, is blessed with high contents of vitamin C. In 100 grams of vitamins of kuka, you have 33 milligrams of vitamin C. Kuka is affordable. It has been diagnosed and has been identified by the European Union as a superfood, the baobab fruit. In 2018, 92 farmers sold worth 491 millions of kuka fruit. That brings me not only to the medicinal value of the plants. Cyril, why don't we look at the economic benefits of the plants that we are blessed with? I just told you garlic is massively produced in the northwest region, especially in Sokoto. And garlic has contents of phytonutrients that can boost the immune system. If we develop products from garlic and onion, apart from the medicinal contents we are getting, the medicinal products, we may have to export. Is Madagascar not exporting today? At the end of the day, Madagascar, we have good economic potentials from this. Nigeria can have great revenue, job creation, if we use these common 6 plants: moringa, garlic, onions, ginger, turmeric, baobab, doom fruit. acacia, senna, templance. Put them in the right products with these scientists. Export potential, more cultivation.
I wish we could go on with this conversation for another 1 hour, but time has caught up with us, and
Thank you.
we must leave it here at some point and hope that in the near future we'd come back and take another look at herbal remedies, even as we try to find solutions to the health challenges in Nigeria, not just COVID-19, but our other health challenges.
Thank you.
So I'd like to thank you so much for coming on this program, and we look forward to seeing you again soon.
Thank you, Cyril. It's a pleasure to be here. I pray Nigeria will now be determined to look inwards and come up with things that will be good for our people.
All right.
Thank you.
And that's our program today. We thank you for watching. Next week we'll be back with One-on-One. I am Cyril Stover, and I say stay safe.